It looks like we have got, if not a critical mass, I think we've got pretty much everybody on here.
Fantastic. Cool. So I'm going to start sharing my machine. Wow, long day. My screen, and I think we just went live. I just want to. Here it is. I'll give you the link right now. What?
The push-ups.
Oh, that's kind of embarrassing. This is what we want to see and not the rest.
Oh, they were mountain climbers.
They actually were. So this is another story. There's too much going on right now. Okay, I'm putting this in Slack. That'll be more easy. And maybe I should also stop sharing my screen for a second because I don't know what else is on here. There we go. Okay, putting it in the general channel now, and then we're good to go. All right. Can you just give me a thumbs up if you can see the screen? And not mountain climbers. Okay, great. So welcome everyone. So maybe just quickly, my name is Gregory Pepper. I'm part of the Unleash Secretariat. I've also been very much involved in co-creating Unleash Plus over the past year and a half, and also with many of the people on this call from Chemonics, and now also developing this new concept here for the Unleash Global COVID-19 hack. So what is it? It's essentially a 2-day hack that's been running and is currently happening across 6 time zones all around the world, where different Unleash alumni and members of the Unleash community are joining and coming together to find ways of addressing some of the direct and indirect challenges that are caused by the global pandemic that's currently happening. And so it's been really, really exciting to see all the teams working together and the facilitators supporting and seeing how we can come up with some new solutions in a short period of time. I'm just going to walk through a few details about how it's been happening. So there's been 6 main time zones, as I've mentioned. We're now doing the presentations of day 1 with the teams from GMT-4. We've already had 4 other presentations today from other time zones, and we'll have 1 more later today or tonight, depending on where you are, with the GMT-6 time zone. And so in terms of numbers and in terms of participation, so we've had over 240 participants joining this hack from over 73 countries. We've had over 100 experts and facilitators joining as well to support the teams in different ways. So the facilitators, I'll mention them in a few seconds, but they've been working really on the process, on helping the teams frame the challenges that they're looking at, dig into them in the right way, and also start coming up with really good solutions. And the experts have really been there to support with more in-depth knowledge and technical expertise about some of the topics that we're looking at. Also just want to mention that Miro, which is an online collaboration tool and a whiteboard, has graciously provided 300 free licenses for us to be able to run this hack. And so I just also want to thank them for supporting us in this endeavor. I think the tools have been very, very valuable in the hack. And so that's really thanks to them. In terms of the organization, so the hacks are mainly organized by these organizing teams in each region. And the organizing team, which is with us here, is a team mainly composed of people from Chemonics. I think you're all from Chemonics, which is really great. We've worked a lot together already, and it's really people that are fantastic and really great at doing this type of program. And so they'll introduce themselves in a second, but so their role has been to really run the whole hack in the time zone, coordinate with teams, do the team formations, help in clustering challenges, and of course, work with facilitators, ensuring that the process is smooth. In terms of participation, so we've got teams of 3 to 5 talents that come together to address some of these challenges that we're looking at. The facilitators, I've mentioned them, are really working throughout this whole innovation process, supporting the teams to move forward in precise, well thought through, structured and meaningful ways. And then finally, we've got experts, and also some community members have been involved. When we say experts, it's people of different backgrounds that will also introduce themselves in a second, who are coming and really providing more in-depth knowledge so that the teams can work on solid foundations. And just lastly, to give some context of when this call is happening in the overall weekend. So we're currently, as I said, this is the 5th presentation of the day, and it's the teams from GMT-4. And this presentation is happening after a first day of really framing problems, coming up with some initial solutions, and then seeing how to start sketching these out. Of course, teams are at different stages, and there's no sort of right or wrong moment to be at right now. It just depends on the styles of the teams and the way they're moving forward. But I think it's just great to see at what stage we've arrived. So tomorrow there'll be still a full day to work on these solutions and really take them to a step further. And then in the evening, we'll have presentations again, where you'll see the final solutions that will be created throughout the hack. So that's all for me for now. I'm going to pass back over to the team. I think Lauren will be taking over. Once again, huge appreciation to the organizing team and the facilitators and experts for all the amazing work you've been doing in accompanying the teams. And I'm really excited to hear the solutions of the teams themselves. So over to you, Lauren.
Great. Thanks so much, Greg. I just want to thank everybody for your hard work and your patience today. We got kicked off very early. There was a lot of excitement and chaos in trying to get teams formed. I know that we had some switches, and just really appreciate everybody's flexibility and perseverance today in figuring out these new tools and ways in which we can communicate and work together. We wanted to just briefly introduce ourselves, acknowledge our phenomenal facilitators who have dedicated their whole day to working with different teams, to making sure that everybody's supported and cared for today. So our facilitators have been Hillary Eason, who is a Chemonics Unleash alumnus from 2018 in Singapore. We were also joined by Angeline Eco, Robin McDougall, and Priya Mathur, who also all former Unleash facilitators and who have just done a phenomenal job working with their teams today. So thank you so much for your effort and hard work. I also want to acknowledge Ariel Berghammer-Ziegler for taking care of connecting all of the teams with experts and making sure that we were able to get everybody the resources that we needed today. And I also wanted to acknowledge Andrew Hassan and Nicholas Harnish, also from the Chemonics team, who have been sharing out some of what they've been working on today through our social media channels. If some of our experts are on the line, it would be awesome if you guys could just briefly introduce yourselves as well. We really appreciate you being available throughout most of the day. And if you could just briefly say your name and what your background is, we'd really appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Ophelia Mangin, and I'm calling in from New York City, where I'm an educational designer and technologist at the Columbia University School of Journalism. So I've been part of Unleash for a few years and so excited that you all are putting this together. Thank you so much.
Awesome, thank you. Dr. Fernando, I think I saw you on the line as well.
You're muted. Dr. Fernando, I think you're on mute. We can't hear you. You're muted on your microphone is muted.
So if you go to the bottom left of your screen,
I
there you go.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you can hear me.
Yes.
My name is Fernando Zacarias. I am from Mexico, but I live in Fairfax, Virginia, very close to Washington, D.C., and very close to the epidemic here in the U.S. I'm a physician, but lately I have been doing full-time mentoring, international mentoring, with people, with bright people like all of you. And I'm very pleased to be part of this wonderful exercise, and you can count on me in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Do we have any other experts on the line who want to introduce themselves? Okay, if not, we'll go ahead and get started with team presentations. So if we could have team one, or what has become team one, I know that there's a little bit of shuffling this morning. We would love to have you connect and present.
Priya, are we team one?
You are team one. I was just gonna say we're team
Oh.
one.
Yes. It's just that we were team 5 and team 1. So
We're team one. Yeah, we renamed ourselves Quaran Team. We are team one.
Awesome, thank you.
Should I share my screen?
okay, so
Yeah.
yes, thank you. Okay, so we're team 1, and after all our brainstorming session and figuring out which end user we're gonna be aiming our solution to, we were shuffling different ideas, thinking about the students that are home now and kind of go to school as their normal life, teachers who now have had to transition in like seconds to online learning, and the parents who now have to work from home and have their kids with them, and they do not have any training on homeschooling. So we thought, yeah, the first users we would think about are the students or the teachers. Of course, they're struggling, but we thought we would aim our efforts to the parents who have to balance the situation of having to live up to the standards of their everyday responsibilities at work, but also have to manage how to accompany their kids with homeschooling.
And on that, with as you can see within some of our mishmash of a slide here, is that we don't expect teachers or parents to become expert homeschool teachers overnight. And it's very difficult right now where you have a lot of even schools with very rigid schedules on do this at this time, do this at that time. Getting a little echo from somewhere, but just keep going. Okay, it's gone. And so how to offer a aggregated resource that allows the teacher to be able to actually, the parent to find different resources that's legit and make it something that is actually allowing them to share and rate the different aspects of content, allowing them to share best practices with other parents. You know, we're kind of diving into the solution, and I want my team to talk about it more, but really just wanting to find access to the legit resources that are free now, allowing you to share best practices, and then even within that, allowing you to integrate a customizable calendar where you can do different activities that you can plug in, whether it's videos, PDFs, and then be able to also connect with others that are doing something similar for playtime or learning time. Kleber or someone else want to add on to that?
The team also put together a user persona. I don't know if they have it handy to further describe who they're talking about.
Yeah, we have Erica Johnson, and kind of joking, but how to become a teacher overnight. You can't really, you know, the struggles, the lack of structure throughout the day right now, balancing her schedule and then the student's schedule. So we thought initially maybe a calendar that is very customizable for them, that is a portal to information that's off the shelf and good, that is just allowing them to rate the content, allowing them to consume content, and allowing them to make it customizable for them to not create more stress for the life that they live now, but instead just allowing them to be able to have some level of structure within this pandemonium.
Yeah, and sorry, my mic was off, sorry. And to help the parents, it's not about making them teachers, making them their parents or their caregivers. It's about helping them to find content to give to their kids while they're doing their home office time. Because most of these parents that are doing their home office and have to care to the children, they don't have the knowledge to just select knowledge and time to select these tools to give to the children. And that's where this idea that we have here, this insight comes in handy.
I think that's about all we got.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. I want to open it up to everybody for a few minutes, maybe 3 to 5 minutes of peer feedback. And then if the experts have any questions as well, you're more than welcome to ask.
I have a question. Is this meant to supplement? So I understand it's not the case everywhere. In many cases, teachers are already providing some sort of curriculum to be used at home. Is this meant to supplement that, or is this meant to be a substitute for it in places where the curriculum is either not appropriate or not provided?
We think it's for people who haven't been provided with a curriculum, or they haven't been provided with a guide to what to do with their kids at home.
Yep, but some schools are very structured and regimented. If you're in some types of public or private, they both have different systems. But even for the family that maybe isn't in the best school district, or that isn't providing that type of regiment, this is trying to fill that gap to have access to the best resources, reviews of the best resources, to be something that works on their own terms.
Thank you.
And on top of that, it's not supposed to be a curriculum specifically. It is more about some activities or some resources to help you to keep up with the time that the kid has on hand.
Ah, so it's more educational babysitting than it is a substitute for school hours.
I like that. Write that down.
Babysitting, educational babysitting.
Great term.
We might have some parents in the audience. I'd be curious to hear some feedback from anybody who actually has children.
So I'll go ahead and I spoke with this team for a few minutes this afternoon, and you know, I'll say I think I like how you've honed your problem statement here and really focused your efforts on making a tool that can support a few different situations that parents find themselves in, and other caregivers as well. You know, I'd really, from the perspective of a parent whose child has a very scheduled day right now, because you know, their school has essentially just created, you know, a series of activities and moments for Zoom sessions that, you know, that's very structured. If that wasn't in place, I think something like this would be, it has the potential to be incredibly useful. I think one of your biggest challenges right now is thinking about, you know, what exactly does this platform look like? Who's curating the content, and how do I verify that these are going to be resources that are going to be educational for my kids without having to do, you know, a whole lot of research there.
Yeah. If I may, I would like to comment. This is Fernando, and I don't have young children, but I have my grandchildren. And here in the area of Washington, what they have done is they have a program, some classes from the teachers, about 1.5 hours, and they assign some homework, and this is really homework, to the students that the parents have to follow up and help. But there's one area that they probably have not contemplated, is the physical education or the recess, where children have some sort of structure, unstructured physical activity, playing basketball or soccer or whatever. So that's something that should be in some way integrated here, in addition to the academic part of learning. So I don't know how they are going to do it. My grandchildren used to go to a park, but now they have a police tape around the park because they don't want people to congregate. So this is something I would like to pose to the group. How would you address that need for physical activities? Thank you.
Thank you, Ophelia, and thank you, Fernando. I think that what we are trying to give, it can support many activities, and one of them could be the physical activities as well, because it's going to be, we were thinking about it being separated by the subject or any keyword that you can search for. Maybe we can think about like physical activities for specific ages, because you have to be like specific for each age. And we were thinking also about like how to make it come up for people as a solution, not a solution, sorry, a tool for the caregiver to use to their kids. So thank you for your inputs.
Great, thanks guys. I hope that feedback was useful for you to continue on iterating for tomorrow. We're gonna shift to the next team, which is team 4. So if we can have a representative from team 4 take over, that would be awesome.
Hi, just one second. I'm trying to download the presentation. I'm sorry, to show the presentation. And trying to understand how to.
Maybe just in the meantime, because we have maybe a few seconds, a comment that I was just thinking about the previous solution is just that there's probably quite a lot of people currently who might usually be able to take care of kids that can't do it because of the confinement. You know, so if it's other young people or young students or people in university who have some spare hours, I don't know. I'm just wondering if it's worth testing the value that would be created by having someone who maybe plays with the kids live through some kind of video channel. I think Dr. Fernando was mentioning the play and the recess, and I think maybe that's also something that could be looked at is what's the value of actually having someone real across the other side of the screen who can actually interact directly with the kids, because I think quite a few people maybe you know, could be active and volunteer for these kind of things.
Yeah, there's no shortage of people with time right now. So even just like doing like physical activity, Zoom.
Exactly.
Okay, so we are team 4. Can you see my screen?
We can.
Yes.
Okay, so we came up with the idea thinkpositivetoday.com. So positive ideas for you. So the insight that we took is during the COVID-19 pandemic, social media users in ages of 18 to 25 have been affected by misinformation, information overload, and it's making it difficult to know who and what to trust. Especially stress and anxiety can be exacerbated, and unprecedented level of information is just what we're focusing in. Our motivation is that misinformation, disinformation, and information overload can lead young people to actions that can be harming to themselves or to others. The problem framing that we decided to do is that people age from 18 to 25 years old who need a trustful and factual source of information because of the anxiety they can be exacerbated by misinformation during COVID-19 crisis. And we also thought about in the future how other pandemics, worldwide pandemics, can be also taken advantage of this. That's why our name, Think Positive Today, it's larger than just COVID-19, but we're focusing currently in COVID-19. So our user-customer relationship, our users and customers are going to be social media users from 18 to 25 years old. And when we develop the business, like our business idea, we're going to talk more about who else can join to this website that we will be creating. So what are the solutions that we thought? So in our ideation process, we thought of 4 different solutions, even more, but the 4 main solutions we thought about: YouTube channel, an app, a Q&A process where we can connect people to like very specific government institutions. And we also thought about a platform in social media, but the solution that was our winner was a website where we can conglomerate everything in one place. So right now you can search different informations of different positive things that you can do, and not everything is in one place. So what we want to do is centralize. We are true believers of using technology that is already there, of using what is already there, but just making it easier for everyone. So basically our homepage will have mission, vision, who are we, why trust us, and other resources, and how to contact us. And then we are going to have it different divisions. The first one is Vent with Us. So it's going to be a blog which will be curated, obviously, where people can upload whatever they would like. And it will go through a process, obviously, to understand if this is a good thing to upload, that is not something that is harmful. But basically, you can upload a painting, you can upload a poetry, short story, long story, whatever you want to say about what you're feeling and how you're feeling. So that way you can interact with others by reading and doing. And the other one is that we've noticed that all over the world, we have all the psychologists and coaches that are interested in connect with someone that need help for free right now. However, they probably posted via email or in their social media accounts, and they don't have that many followers, or they don't have a big reach. In this way, we're connecting those who need 15, 30 minutes of vent, of talking to someone, and at the same time, that those professionals that obviously will be also curated that can be connected immediately with those people who need help. Then we have a community calendar. Like one of the overload informations that we have, which is positive, but we cannot use, is the all the information that is like all the free stuff that we have digitally. So we plan to do a monthly calendar with all these museums, concerts that are happening all over the world that are free and digital. And people can send their free digital activity where we can add it, so you can know what to do that day and plan ahead. Then we're going to have guides on how to deal with overload. We can change this title later, but basically what we want here, it's different type of guides based on the Q&A that I'm going to explain a little bit later. So people are getting nervous about like, oh my God, I'm in a group chat or in an email chain, and my aunt is sending something that is not true. How do I deal with this? How do I work with this? So you can have a guide of a step-by-step situation of, a step-by-step guide of what you can do in this situation, and also like how to handle this kind of stuff without losing it, right? And without harming others by your words. And also how like those are for the people that already know how to identify fake news or misinformation, but also we can have ways to understand better. And there's a lot of articles out there on how to do it. So we just need to conglomerate it in one place, and you just pick and choose which one you want to read and how do you feel better. And then we will have a Q&A from official sources. So basically what we're going to do is that you can ask us anything about the COVID right now, or about about anxiety or mental health, or how you're feeling and what to do. And we will try to find that information based on objective and factual resources, like the ones like CDC, the World Health Organization, and others, and try to have all these answers in one same place, categorized, obviously, when we have a lot, so people can, everything that you need to stay positive in this situation, you can have it in one place, because it's all out there. It's just, you get stressed when you want to find it. You just have to research, and that's someone, imagine if that's something stressful for someone that have a knowledge on how to use technology, but what about those who are not that fluent, right? Or who doesn't have the tool of feeling okay to think out of the box of what are the tools that we have. So that's how we come up with this idea.
Great, thank you so much. Let's open it up to some feedback for the group.
Oh.
Does anybody have any questions?
Yes, this is great. Fernando, again, I'm sorry, I don't want to talk too much, but what is the basis of trust? Why should people trust you?
That's an amazing question, and we discussed it all the time, because the first thing is that trust comes from a personal perspective.
Right.
Trust is not something that you can say this person trusts in A or B, because it's in your mind, right? So that's why we will have in our homepage all this why trust us and why we're going to focus on resources, because that's the only way that we can be objective and factual and show people that we are in the right track. And also by joining with professionals and providing all this, you know, this is not only a source check, and this is not only a Q&A, this is also providing you with free tools for you to vent, for you to communicate, for you to, you know, enjoy this social distancing in the best way that you can. And that way we're creating interaction, that it's not only us providing you answers, but it's also us providing you a place to find information that is not related to COVID per se, like concerts or museums or, you know, all those things that we already know, or to find counsel through professionals for free. So that's how we plan to build this trust, and this is how we plan to get out there, because that's the only way that we can do it right now. That is providing confidence, right? Interactions.
Okay.
I have
Can I respond to that? I think this is extremely important what you have said. You have trust because of the institution, the source where the information is coming, but also a very important source of trust is a recommendation by somebody who you trust, a friend, and you know, somebody in the community that you believe. So is there any sort of endorsement, or will it be some sort of endorsement of the site by somebody who is well respected that people will trust? I'm sorry, I don't know if Raquel.
Yeah, thank you for
sorry, if I can,
for this question.
quickly.
So yeah, we also discussed about, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think something to maybe add to that is, have you talked about and considered writing up community standards? There are a lot of different groups that have some great ones, and that might be a good way to, you know, think through your response to Fernando's question there.
Yeah, totally. So going back to what you both were explaining is that, yes, first community, and I don't know the exact translation of this, but by mouth to mouth, like when you, how do you call that? When you have information that people just in their community, they just talked about it, and that's how it gets popular. But also, yeah, we discussed about influencers and how we can create a strategy.
Is that the expression you mean?
Word of mouth, yeah. Mouth of mouth is definitely not blog. Yeah. So word of mouth, it's something that it's definitely we're trusting in that could work. And also, yes, we're thinking of using influentials figures, not only in that particular subject, but also people that are very popular in their communities, that they can talk about the benefits of this and how you can, you know, join. And not only, you don't have to go to the Q&A, you can just use it for the community calendar or to vent with us, you know, it could be either or.
Yeah,
Guys, this has been an awesome conversation. Sorry, we need to keep moving along because we want to make sure that every team gets an opportunity to both present and get feedback from the group. So how about let's have the next team queue up their presentation, and that's going to be, I believe, group 6. And then if there's any just last very short feedback that anyone has, feel free to give that while we get the other group queued up.
We'll also be doing sharing tomorrow, of course.
That's me. Share, got it. Okay.
Can I ask a quick question to Raquel? My name is Anam, and I was very curious to know what made you pick the 18 to 25 age range, because I think that 18 to 25-year-olds would be really interesting to help build that kind of website and platform. But as far as like receiving that content from there, they're more likely, or at least they have like social media is very accessible. They have the methods and the ability to look up and do that research, but it may be more helpful in terms of like having a website and having all that information consolidated for like a older population. And so that was kind of my thinking alongside it. And I was wondering what made you pick 18 to 25-year-olds?
That's a great question. We also discussed that, and I would love my team also to jump in here. But one of the things that we thought is that, yes, we're targeting a group, but that doesn't mean that you're not, that any other person can reach out to this information. We target this group because we saw that when we research data, we know that the people that have more issues of anxiety are in that age group. So we thought that because they are the most vulnerable, it's better to focus on them. And that's why we chose them, because we know that by having a website, anyone can join and anyone can say, hey, you can come in. It's not going to have like a block of like, oh, only to 25-year-old people. And because of what you said also, you mentioned that people from this age are all the time on the internet. And that's the problem also. They're overloaded with information and lack of understanding which one is the best one to be in a good, environment to, in this, social distancing process.
Great. Thanks, guys. Let's hand it over to Andrew now for Team 6.
Hey everyone, so we're Team 6, primarily working on economic impact and unemployment, so SDGs 8 through 11 pretty much, and our name is Adapter. And I want to thank everyone for all the energy they've shown today and all the support that we received from our moderators, subject matter experts, and facilitators. I think this energy is kind of analogous to what we've all seen within our local communities of people really putting their heads together, supporting local businesses and NGOs and food kitchens and everything. It's been pretty inspiring. So it's been great to see the solutions that come out today, and that pretty much has also informed what we've come up with today, and also some of the personal insights from our own team. I think we all probably know someone who has been laid off or has reduced hours. In the States, one of the figures that came out even just 2 weeks ago, and this is before kind of the economic situation has changed, was 1 in 5 households had either had a member of their household lose a job or saw a reduction in their hours of employment. So the insight we were looking at was, so small and medium businesses are struggling to adapt their business operations to the economic realities brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic. At the same time, these companies are really interested in supporting the needs of COVID-19, whether it be providing masks, PPE to our healthcare workers on the front line, or hand sanitizer for communities and also for health workers. They just don't know how to do that. So I'm going to kick it over to my colleague Alex, who will go over the problem statement and the solution we've come up with.
Thanks, Andrew. Yeah, so the problem statement along those lines is, how might we support small and medium businesses to continue their operations by, by diversifying their service, their product, what their offerings. And in order to contribute directly to the COVID-19 essential services and commodities. And then the goal is also to adapt to maintain the employment of the staff and localized production for COVID needs. And so the solution we thought of was Adapter, which is a consulting service where we help businesses pivot their operations and sort of diversify to address COVID needs. So if we look at just this drawing there on the right, something we drew before, the idea would be, say you take seamstress or you take a fabric company, and you give them the Adapter recipe. So basically helping them know, how do you go through this organizational change in terms of human resources, but also in terms of in terms of technical needs, and then in order to address the needs. So it's about what we do is we map the needs that are needed and welcome companies that have the capacity but don't know exactly how to transition, and we provide them with our services to give that recipe. And if we can think of there are solutions, there are things already happening right now. We were talking earlier today about Dyson, who make commercial fans and dryers, and who are pivoting to manufacturing ventilators. We can also think of 3D printing companies that are also pivoting into making ventilators. There is a distillery and a brewery in Quebec that has shifted to making hand sanitizers instead of just making beer. And so those are some examples. There is a shift in the need of the society, and how can we bring small and medium businesses that are impacted to help meet that need and keep employment and employ other people. So that's it.
Yeah, and to further expand on, and thank you, Alex. To further expand on that, Angeline kind of framed our solution in a really helpful way of like looking at something that's easy to understand and existing online. And there's platforms where you can look at your pantry and then click what ingredients you have in your own pantry or fridge, and that would produce an output of like, hey, you have noodles and you have pasta sauce, make spaghetti. But it kind of goes both ways. There's a need for hand sanitizers, there's a need for PPE. And this allows local business to say, this is the workforce we have, these are the skills they have, and then these are the inputs that we can provide, whether it be machinery, whether it be cloth, fabric, anything really. So it's a kind of two-way kind of feedback loop. So yeah, that's Adapter. And if anyone on my team has anything else to say, please do so. And if not, we'll take questions.
Awesome. Why don't we switch over to questions with both the peers and experts.
Yeah, this is Dr. Mehta. I'm based in Canada. And thank you, Andrew and Alex. And I was, during the morning, I was involved with Team 4. And I'll if there's time, I'll get back to Team 4. But just, this is not a question. I just want to share an observation. In the afternoon, I went basically to pick up something. And in the retail store, who should be considered frontline workers, I saw in the independent store and Canadian Tire that they've put up plexiglass shields for the workers at the cash counters, just like a doctor in a healthcare setting puts on a shield. They have basically retooled this to there. So these are the novel ideas that small and medium businesses are coming out, and it would be very useful to document this and to share this widely.
Yeah, and I think you hit on a really good point, and what we discussed earlier, and Hillary kind of helped us get to this point, was it's not remaking the wheel in any sense. Like, we can offer consulting services of how to do so, but it's also a learning process. Of there are companies that have and businesses that have done that, done diversification of their products and services quite successfully already. And we use the examples of like hand sanitizer, or like turning a bar into a mini market. I think these learnings should be shared widely, and that's something that we would hope to do. And so thank you for that example.
I would just like, this is Angeline, I'd like to yes and to what the team has presented. Yes, we discussed advisory services to help these SMBs reconfigure and collaborate to create these essential products and services, but there is a huge opportunity for this collaboration to be automated via you know, an intake to Andrew's example of, okay, I am SMB signing up, a mom and pop shop, here are all of my ingredients, and then wait for, you know, the system to tell me when, you know, my services, my machinery, etc., can contribute and more effectively to this new service, this new need that's in the market because of COVID. So again, I just wanted to say that there is a people aspect, but also a technology platform aspect.
Great, thanks so much, guys. In the interest of time, I do want to move us on to the next team. So awesome job presenting, guys. That was it was really impressive to all the teams that have gone so far. Next up is Team 7, I believe. So do we have a representative from Team 7 who's ready to go?
I'm just trying to figure out how to
yes.
stop sharing.
Yeah, I can share once it's down.
I don't know why I can't
then,
on my screen.
Just as a quick time check for everybody, we do have 2 more teams. So we'll have Team 7 and then Team 8. So we are going to run a little bit over time. Greg has graciously agreed to stay up just a little bit longer so that we can get everybody in for tonight. So yeah.
Anyone know how I can get out of this?
Yes, Andrew, you're going to look at the top of your screen. You should see where it says stop sharing. It should be in red.
Oh, sorry. I put it right in front of me. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay. All right. Yes. Hi. Yeah. So we're Team 7. We're a team of 2 people. My name is Marissa Beatty. This is Nick Harnish. We were assigned to look at supply chain issues. And one thing that we really wanted to analyze was the unfortunate reality that many medical institutions are going to run short on necessary PPE that they need to manage this epidemic. So there are going to be supply shortages, most definitely. So in periods of scarce supply for necessary PPE, researchers across various institutions, medical institutions, research institutions, are developing protocols to sterilize equipment. So one most recent study has shown that you can actually sterilize these N95 respirators to be able to use them over and over again without having them recontaminate or be unsanitary for use over and over again in these hospitals. But the issue is that there's like no architecture that's validating or distributing information that researchers are getting in order to reuse personal protective equipment that's not ordinarily supposed to be reused, because this is a very unique epidemic. There aren't like existing architectures to relay this information. And one of the reasons why this is because like the information's rapidly changing. It's not validated in the same way that it has been in previous epidemics. So usually when you have a scientific, not discovery, but if you have a realization for how to reuse something, usually there are different organizations that can vet the process and make sure that it is actually sanitizing what you're looking at. But we don't have that in this situation because supply is running short so quickly. We need to be able to act fast, but we want to make sure that that information is validated. And then the other thing is here in the US, we have a nice information infrastructure, but for other communities that are a little more isolated or rural, they might not have this same accessibility to this information, especially when it's like so rapidly changing from like this information that we've gotten from Duke is only about 24 hours old. So how do we get that information out quickly? So Nick, if you wanna.
All right, so the Stockholm Protocol, there we go. The Stockholm Protocol, as we envision it, would be developed by the WHO, as mentioned, and essentially it can be summed up into 4 phases. The first phase is really the most valuable in the sense that after the Stock Protocol is developed, we can start implementing that into the emergency preparedness plans. So for every country, that's going to look different, but at the end of the day, that's going to influence the procurement strategies of that country or the health institutions in that country once they announce a national emergency and acknowledge the pandemic. In the sense that we're considering the Stockholm Protocol, to give you an example, for the N95 masks, one of the techniques that have come out is the use of vaporized hydrogen peroxide. With the Stock Protocol in place, a country can acknowledge this plan B in a sense, and they would increase the hydrogen peroxide count in their commodity list. that they would immediately begin to procure once they initiate their national emergency. For phase 2, once the stockout is triggered, which would only come into effect when PPEs are virtually not available to a specific hospital or country, WHO would confirm the pandemic and basically allow the stockout protocol to be acted upon once that stockout is realized. Phase 3, the protocol is actually triggered, in which case during that time, central hospital logistics officers would begin following the guidelines to reuse what is considered non-reusable PPE. So we're looking at the N95 mask, protective gloves, etc. The PPE would be closely monitored, assigned to staff, and as Marissa mentioned, a lot of the guidance that's circulating out there, that those which have been vetted would be followed, or at least advised to be followed. And then finally, phase 4, which would be the lifting of the protocol. Next slide, Marissa.
Yep.
The value of the stockout protocol is essentially that it's specifically tailored for the relevant pandemic. It's incorporating new research that is coming out continually. Again, another example would be Duke's research they released yesterday on the practicality and efficacy of reusing N95 masks after sterilization. They can be integrated in countries' emergency preparedness plans. So as I mentioned, this is really going to influence the critical commodities that hospitals look at when they start preparing to respond to a pandemic or the escalation of a pandemic. And finally, regional WHO offices would have the ability to provide direct guidance to hospitals and logistics officers on how to follow the guidelines. Given the WHO presence and the authority as a central source, as Marissa mentioned, we would be targeting them as the type of body we would want to see such a protocol to be developed through. But that's basically our solution. We'll love to take any questions or clarify any points.
Thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
I just want to point out, I think in step 3, there was a typo. It says for minimum efficacy, to ensure minimum efficacy instead of maximum.
Thank you.
Yes.
We definitely want maximum.
Yeah.
One thought that I would like to maybe add to this consideration with the protocol being triggered is to think about what are the current processes for training people in these circumstances on new protocols, and to and how is this going to be a resource to actually be able to provide that training, or where are you directing people to do so?
Yes, so a big part of this protocol is it's integrated into the World Health Organization, their safety plans or their emergency response plans. Our largest idea was that things might change regionally based on what's available. So certain hospitals might have more of something than another one, and you have to make do with what's available. So we keep bringing up the hydrogen peroxide as an example, but it requires some specialized equipment. And if that hospital doesn't have that equipment, what can you do that's the next best thing? And we were thinking that we could reach out. The part of the protocol is that it mobilizes the local World Health Organization offices in order to provide consulting services, as they already do, to nearby hospitals, and just make that a part of their consulting that they already have in place already.
Any other questions we can field? Thank you very much, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome, thanks, guys. Okay, so we have group 8 up last.
Give us 1 second. I think we're putting up the.
Sure, thanks.
Thanks, Ruben. All right, hello, everyone. While we're waiting for this to load, we're team 8, surprise gorilla team. And we started with this idea of unemployment under COVID-19. And undesired unemployment is bad at all times. It causes human suffering. And so we focused on what makes unemployment under COVID-19 particularly pernicious. And so, besides the scale and suddenness of it, the worst part of it is that it deepens existing divides in our labor market. So by that we mean the digital divide, the fact that some people can do work. I'm sorry? All right, I'm going to continue. So it deepens existing divides about digital access, about financial security, and about just quality of work as well, just what working conditions are like. And so for us, we zoomed in on this persona, Juliana. She's a pandemic displaced service worker. So imagine her as somebody who works, she works at a local restaurant. She's been doing it for 10 years. She's raising kids as a single mother. In the United States, she would be a recipient of the Earned Income Tax Credit. And what's tricky about Juliana's situation is that, now that she's out of work, because the restaurant is closed, she doesn't have anything else to do because the work she was doing, which was in-person services, are now out of bounds and out of reach for her in a quarantine environment. And so that's where we leave Juliana. She's stuck, and while she knows how to use the internet, she doesn't know how to necessarily use the skills that she's got to find work that she can do from home.
Ruben, can you go back to the original slide? Thank you. So we were focusing on the problem that COVID-19 displaced in-person service workers need help retooling and transitioning into work that they can do from home. And this is because of the insight that they are generally not equipped with skills or connections to do so themselves. And so Jeremy's going to take us through kind of more of our thought process through these topics.
So to address this problem, we came up with the Pandemic Connectors Alliance. And this is a glue between skills, workers, and needed digital work and available skills. There's a lot of parts of matchmaking in terms of skills and work that can be automated, but with these kind of situations, there's a lot of nuance. Juliana might be very skilled at using Instagram and other online tools, but might not know how to apply those tools to work. She might not be digitally, sorry, I can talk a bit louder. She might not be digitally literate at all, but have other skills. So there are also, as was mentioned earlier in the call, a lot of people with extra time, both people who are getting paid and so are thus economically cared for by the government or a institution, but have extra time to commit, or people that are looking for extra work. So these people can contribute to a global core of people who can earn credit, financial or otherwise, for successful referrals between pandemic displaced service workers and skills educators, or pandemic displaced service workers and employers. And so for a successful connection between the needed skill and the needed educator or the needed worker and the needed employer, these people would receive credit. If they need money, they could get money. And if they don't need money, then they can get, the satisfaction of doing good work. And these do exist in the form of mutual aid organizations. For instance, in the Bay Area, there's the Bay Area Mutual Aid Organization. But this is a way to incentivize and scale it a bit by connecting what people have to what people need, using people who have extra time.
That's right. We did also have a question from when we were debating in our team, how is this different from existing employment agencies and nonprofits that do some really incredible workforce development? And I think for us, the idea is to actually build a layer on top of these existing groups that already have access to job listings. And in fact, to basically realize that people need some preparation before they even can go and connect to work. So the first one's an assessment of what skills they have, where they're going, where they live, what they're looking for, and then being able to place them appropriately and possibly recommend and support them through skilling in order to retool.
Right. So when, as in the first presentation, when, as Fernando mentioned, someone with kids is looking for someone to play with the kids over video, that person who's playing with the kids isn't necessarily credentialed, and the person with the kids doesn't necessarily have a firm ask. There's a layer in the middle of these people with free time to talk with those people and make that match in a little bit more high touch way.
We're happy to take that.
I think that's our idea if people have comments or questions.
Any feedback from the group or comments from experts?
Yeah, Lord. A very good presentation, Jeremy and others, and all of them. Just a practical note that I would like to put to the floor. Basically, is I'm an epidemiologist, I'm an infectious disease person, etc., etc. But I think basically team 8, that is unemployment, economic impact, are one of the most lasting things that this pandemic will have. Basically, as we all are social distancing, physical distancing, we are breaking the chains of transmission. China, South Korea, Japan, Taiwan have proven that in months the curve can be #flatten the curve can take place. So from an epidemiological point of view or a disease point of view, it will be months, not years, hopefully, and our countries have proven that. But what will be the lasting effects is on unemployment, economic impact, small and medium businesses. This is going to be a long run, and I'm very happy to see that the teams are basically taking this into consideration, and I think more efforts need to be paid on this. So these are just a few practical comments that I have.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for the encouragement. And we think so also. And you'll notice that in the presentation, we use the word pandemic displaced instead of COVID displaced, because we've heard from some folks that there might be another wave of COVID next year. Ostensibly, there may be another kind of virus that we haven't thought of in the future that may not be respiratory with similar effects. And so this wouldn't necessarily just be episodic for this. We want something that would work in any kind of social distancing situation.
Yeah, and the truth is, as these are the dislocations and divisions you're seeing under COVID are accelerations of processes well underway. And those divides will only deepen if we can't find a way to bridge people's existing skills with the work of the future and where the growth is.
Yeah. And I like the word glue. Basically, the glue between skills, workers, and needs is very, very apt and nice. I like that word, the glue between all of these. That's nice.
Great. Thank you so much, guys. In the interest of time, I do want to let Greg especially go to sleep, but also to give some time for everybody to decompress a little bit tonight. We are at the end of day 1. So this was supposed to focus on problem framing and peer and expert feedback. We have a whole nother day of prototyping, iterating tomorrow. We have another group of really excellent experts who are joining us, and we welcome and invite all of the experts from today as well, if you are interested in being available tomorrow or listening in on the presentations at the end of the day. So we will be sure to share those links out to you tomorrow. I want to encourage everybody to take a little break tonight to rest. We will kick things off tomorrow at 9. In our main Zoom link. So not this one, but the one that's in our Slack channel. We will focus tomorrow on making sure that teams have the resources and the team members that they need. So if you are not moving forward with us tomorrow, please just let your facilitators know so we can figure out if we need to do any regrouping. You guys all had such incredible presentations and really great ideas, and we would love to see the progress that you are able to make tomorrow with more support and more time. So we would really encourage everybody, if you can, to keep working with us tomorrow. The organizing team will be with you from 9 to 6. And if you need anything in the meantime, please let us know. I want to do one thing at the end, which we didn't get to do this morning when we opened up the session. I would love if you could turn your camera on and if we could take a group picture. So if you don't mind doing that, we'll have, I think Hillary or Andrew is going to help us take a screenshot with everyone giving a thumbs up or a wave or something, so that we can share this out with the bigger Unleashed community.
And keep doing it because there's actually 2 screens of people because there's so many of us. So give me just a second.
Sure.
You can sanitize those hands.
Is that going to be your, there you go. I like it. Great. So Hillary, just count us off whenever you're ready.
You're on mute, Hillary.
I see Clara waving. Hillary, you ready?
Sorry, so I was on mute. I have taken one. Yeah, hold on. I'm going to do it. Give me just a second. I've already taken one, but it didn't come out that well. So, all right, here's one picture. Keep waving. Great, let me save that. Sorry. And, all right, and now I'm going to take the other one. So keep waving. Thanks for your patience. Beautiful. Okay, great.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. If you have any more feedback from teams from today or experts, if you want to provide any more feedback that you didn't have a chance to give, please feel free to add that to our Slack channel. And otherwise, we'll see everybody tomorrow.
Congratulations, everyone. That was really, really, really awesome. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Have a good rest.
Bye. Can you share the picture also?
Yeah, we'll share that on the Slack channel for you guys.
Thanks. Bye.